If you want to do well on the BCBA exam, you must know your AKAs because the exam loves to use them. So what do I mean by AKA? Well, AKA just means also known as. Basically, it's a synonym. For example, trash is an AKA for garbage. And if you're in the UK, it's also an AKA for rubbish. They all kind of mean the same thing. Some terms on the exam have multiple AKAs. For example, the independent variable is also known as the treatment and the intervention, and the treatment variable, and the intervention variable, and the experimental variable, and the manipulated variable. Now that's a lot of AKAs for one term, and if you don't know all of them, you can really get tripped up on the exam. Here's 3 reasons why. First, knowing your AKAs helps you answer questions. For example, let's take a look at this mock question. Mary Ann is a 10-year-old girl who frequently calls out during class. Her teacher decides to implement a token system to increase the number of times Mary Ann raises her hand. What is the experimental variable in this scenario? A, frequency of hand raising. B, frequency of calling out. C, the token system, or D, Mary Ann. Now, if you know that the experimental variable is an AKA for the independent variable, which is an AKA for intervention, then you can figure out that the experimental variable is the token system, because that's the intervention in this scenario. A second reason that you want to know your AKAs is that it helps you eliminate answers. Let's look at this same mock question, except this time, instead of trying to find the experimental variable in a list of answer choices, now the question is asking you about the frequency of hand raising. Our answer choices are the treatment variable, the independent variable, the manipulated variable, and the dependent variable. Now again, if we know that the treatment variable is the same as the independent variable, which is the same as the manipulated variable, we can go ahead and cross out all 3 of these answers. That's because there can only be one right answer. Now I know that the exam loves to ask you to select the best answer, and if you're looking for some strategies for those type of questions, check out my other videos. But that is different from asking you to select from 3 equally correct answer choices that are all synonyms for one another. So right away, if we know that these are AKAs, we can go ahead and eliminate them. And that leaves us with the dependent variable. So even if you didn't know what the dependent variable was, but you did know that these other answer choices were AKAs for one another, you could go ahead and eliminate them and get the correct answer just by process of elimination. Now, the third and final reason that you really need to know your AKAs is that it keeps you from getting tricked by wrong answers. For example, let's go back to our same mock question that we've been looking at. But this time, let's assume that you know what the independent variable is and you know what the dependent variable is because you have studied those before and you know the difference between them. So you know that frequency of hand raising is the dependent variable in this scenario. But let's say that you've never heard of the treatment variable or the manipulated variable and you didn't know that those were AKAs for the independent variable. So when you see those, you're really confused because you haven't heard of them before. Now, I have heard this same scenario from multiple people. When they see words that they don't know or they haven't come across before on the exam, it makes them start second guessing themselves. So maybe they originally knew what the dependent variable was, but they see these other terms on here they haven't heard of, and all of a sudden they start thinking, do I really know the dependent variable? Is frequency of hand raising really what that is? Maybe it is one of these things that I haven't heard of. Maybe it's a treatment variable or manipulated variable. So by knowing all of your AKAs, when you see these terms on the exam, you can feel confident in your choice of choosing the dependent variable as the right answer because you know what they are and you know they're not correct. So there you have it, 3 reasons why you should know your AKAs. If you're wondering where to find AKAs, check out my website. I have some great resources on there for you, including comprehensive sets of flashcards that includes all the AKAs that you need to know. And if you want to be the first to know whenever I release new products or have special deals, be sure to sign up for my newsletter. All the details are in the description below. Happy studying, my friends, and remember, you've got this.